Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalo Nasteva 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 Gatiranyata Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalo Nasteva 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 Gatiranyata
तस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखा विकांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम
राम राम राम हरे हरे।
नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते बीवी गोविंद स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश धारिणे। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Okay, so we did in the previous class, who will tell me, we did till verse 1 point. करिश्मा, any idea? हमने लास्ट कौन सा वर्स किया था?
1.20.
Yes, 1.15. We started from 1.16 up to 1.20. We did 5 verses. So has everybody revised what we did last time? Just a quick recap, whatever you remember from last class. Let's begin. All of you can contribute a little bit. Baiji, Monica, Meetu. You can read 16 to 18, the verses, and whatever you remember, you can quickly recap. What did we do? King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Anant Vijay. And Nakul and Sahadev blew Sughosh and Mani Pushpak. The great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter, Shikhandi, Dhrishtadyumna, Virat, the unconquerable Satyaki, Drupad, the sons of Draupadi, and the others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. Do you remember any points from this verse?
We remember, but actually I am still traveling, so I don't have the book. I will just see जो आप share करोगे screen.
Yes, then you have to rely on your memory. We'll tell you that's fickle. Now we have the mobile that's made us even more useless. We don't remember phone numbers also. And then the next verse was the blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. In this verse, we did the difference between When Duryodhan's party blew their conch shells, Bhishma Pitamaha, what was the reaction? And when the Pandavas blew their conch shells, what was the reaction? What was the difference? One difference between them, if you've heard.
Victory was already known and inevitable for the Pandavas because Sri Krishna was on their side. And Dhritarashtra जब कौरवों का conch shell blue हुआ था तो उनके वॉल्यूम को डिस्क्राइब किया गया है, लेकिन जो उसका ऑरा था वो was not anything in comparison with the respective conch shells of the Pandavas.
Yes, in 19th verse में बता रहे हैं संजय, it shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. है ना, their hearts got crushed then and there. जैसे एक ill omen का जब आभास हो जाता है ना, when you know you're going to die, वो जो एक sinking सी feeling आती है, that's the feeling they got when just by the blowing of the conch shells, कि अब हम यहाँ से बच के नहीं जाएंगे घर.
You refer to two key words there, vyadharayat, which means crushed, and tumulo, that is tumultuous or uproarious.
Yes. We even discussed that tumultuous comes from the Sanskrit word
Tumulo.
Very similar. Yes. And yes, so that's what we did. So let us start. And the 20th verse then we did. At that time, Arjun, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot, bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra, drawn in military array, Arjun then spoke to Lord Krishna these words. Do you remember his verse mein? We did one important point. Arjun, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman.
The concept of controller and cooperator.
Yeah, sorry. You were saying?
The concept of cooperator and controller. So I think you mentioned that, Krishna, Rama, or, the Vishnu Tattvas, the avatars, they are the controller, and Hanuman, he was there to help as a cooperator there during the Ram avatar. And even here also he's there, in the flag. So the word that was referred to as Kapidwaja.
Dvaja, yes. Yeah, this word Kapidwaja means each country has a flag which denotes something, some philosophy of that country. Similarly, Arjun also had a flag which was a Kapidwaja. So he was denoting something. That flag was denoting devotion, that I am under the control of Krishna, not the other way around. Not that he is my Sarthi. Any other points? Okay, so we will start with 21-22. These verses have been clubbed together by Prabhupada because for ease of understanding, for ease of narration, for continuity of narration, because their meanings were the same. What they were trying to say was the same thing. So therefore he clubbed them together so that it can be explained conveniently. So Vaiji, would you like to read?
Sure. Arjunovacha senayor ubayor madhye ratam stapaya mechutam yavadetan riksheham yodukaman avastitan kairmaya sahayodavyam asmin rana samudyame. Arjuna said, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms."
So in the previous verse, Rishi Kesham, the word used to describe Krishna is Rishi Kesham. Krishna will be described by different names throughout the Bhagavad Gita. Arjun also will be described by Krishna with different names. The beauty of the Sanskrit language is that whenever you want to give a message, then the name changes accordingly. For example, if I am right now imploring Krishna to save me from the demons of my desires, I implore that part of him by calling him O Madhusudan, O Murari, can you slay the demons of my desires? So what am I doing by calling him Madhusudan? That O slayer of the Madhu demon, O Murari, O slayer of the Mura demon, I implore, kindly slay the demons of my desires. So जैसा मूड होता है वैसा उनको एड्रेस किया जाता है. So उसी तरह अर्जुन को कभी गुड़केश बुलाया गया है ना, कभी पृथा बुलाया गया है, कभी हे पार्थ बुलाया गया है, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द मैसेज दैट कृष्णा इज ट्राइंग टू गिव हिम. कभी उनको डांट से कोई किसी नाम से बुलाया जाता है. सो ही इज एक्चुअली गिविंग अ मैसेज इवन थ्रू द नेम, है ना. कभी उसको याद दिलाया जा रहा है दैट यू बिलोंग टू द वृष्णि डायनेस्टी, because if you're coming from such an illustrious background, you cannot become a weak character. So similarly, in the previous verse, Krishna is being addressed as Rishikesham. There is a reason why Arjun is addressing him such. And not Arjun, Sanjay. Why? What is the meaning of Rishikesh? Rishikesh means controller of desires. He who is not under the control of his desires, but he who controls not only his own desires, but also the desires of all living beings. So that quality of Krishna is being implored, asked upon. Where Arjun is saying, "Oh, infallible one." Fallible means one who can fall down, who can make mistakes. Usko च्युत बोलेंगे, fallible. But infallible, so च्युत, sthapaya me achyuta. Why is he calling him such? He's directly addressing him as saying, you are achyut, which means you can never fall down and you can never make a mistake. So although Arjun is sitting on the driver's seat and Krishna is sitting many levels below him Arjun is sitting on the owner of the chariot seat, and Krishna is sitting 2-3 levels below him at the place of a servant, the charioteer, the sarathi. Yet Arjun is telling him, I'm making no mistake in my mind that you are the one in charge. You are Achyut, you are the infallible one. On this Ratha, I may be sitting at an elevated position, but you are the one who is infallible, who is Achyut, who is Rishikesh, the master of the senses, the controller of the senses. And therefore, since you have agreed to take the position of a charioteer, hence I am, with all humility, giving you this order. Because order to mujhe dena hi padega. He's saying, "Oh infallible one, please draw my chariot." So that's an order. Hey Sarathi, mera chariot chalao. और क्या करो? Bring it between the two armies. क्योंकि अभी ये युद्ध भूमि से बाहर है, साइड पे खड़े हैं. And now he's telling him, "Oh Achyut, take my chariot in the middle of the battlefield, right in the middle where both the Kaurav and Pandav armies are facing each other. बिल्कुल मुझे बीच में लेकर जाओगे." But at the same time, with all humility, he is addressing him that you are Achyut. I know that you are the master. You are the controller and I am the controlled. So kindly, please, can you draw my chariot between the two armies? Kyun? So that I may see those present here. अब बहुत अच्छे से इसमें प्रभुपाद एक्सप्लेन कर रहे हैं, अर्जुन को क्या पता नहीं था कौरवों के साइड से कौन आ रहे हैं, एक एक का नाम पता है, एक एक के साथ सारी उम्र रिश्ता निभाया हुआ है, सबकी सारी डिटेल्स पता है, सारी फैमिली बैकग्राउंड्स पता है. He knew exactly कौरवों की पार्टी में कौन है, and he knew exactly पांडवों की उसकी अपनी पार्टी में कौन कौन खड़ा है. फिर भी कृष्ण को बोल रहा है, जरा can you please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those who are present here, who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. Any idea why he was doing this? So, although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend. He never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed herein as infallible. And as a charioteer, he had to carry out the orders of Arjuna. And since he did not hesitate to do so, he is addressed as infallible. है ना? So, कृष्ण इसको ऋषिकेश क्यों एड्रेस किया गया है कि उनको आपके हार्ट के डिजायर्स के बारे में सब कुछ पता है. कृष्णा न्यू अर्जुन क्यों मुझे कह रहा है कि मुझे दोनों पार्टीज के बीच में जरा लाके खड़ा करो, आई वांट टू सी देम. इसीलिए एज अ ऋषिकेश उनको एड्रेस किया गया कि हे ऋषिकेश, हे कंट्रोलर ऑफ द सेंसेस, आपको तो पता है मेरा इनर मोस्ट डिजायर कि मैं व्याकुल हूं. No doubt that this is a dharma yuddha. This is a fight of righteousness over evil. Lekin, this also is a family fight. I'm surrounded by sons, grandsons, grandfathers, teachers, friends, family, in-laws. सारे यही भरे हुए हैं दोनों तरफ. तो मन व्याकुल है. कैसे मारूं? यस, मैं जानता हूं कि ये धर्म युद्ध है और धर्म युद्ध में फैमिली या ब्लड रिलेशन नहीं देखा जाता. Even if your family member, your closest blood relative, your own brother is doing, your cousin is on the side of evil, you will have to fight with him. You cannot support him. You may even have to kill him. So, इसीलिए वो व्याकुल है. और ऋषिकेश कृष्ण को ये बात बहुत अच्छे से पता है. इसीलिए he smiled when Arjun said कि मुझे जरा ले चलो. But उन्होंने भी अपना धर्म निभाया कि मेरा इस समय मैं सारथी का रोल प्ले कर रहा हूं, so I will do as he tells me. But in his heart he knows, because he is the Paramatma sitting in Arjun's heart. He knew that weakness of the heart has set in. Family affection is actually a cause of misery. It's a cause of bondage. If you are not married, you are just affectionate to your own body, and you would want to take care of all your bodily needs and all the desires of your mind and your senses. And when you get married, then that affection includes the body of your wife also, or the body of your husband also. The affection आपका expand हो गया. और उसके बाद when children come on the scene, then now your affection has become even more greater. You have, मतलब और भी धस गए हो आप इस दलदल में, क्योंकि अब बच्चों की affection भी उसमें add हो गई है. और उसी तरह जैसे आपकी फैमिली एक्सपैंड होती जाती है, आप और affection में बंधते जाते हो. So your cause of misery becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and greater and greater and greater. We are being given to believe that family life, the more your family life expands, the more happiness you will get. But the Shastra is saying that the more you involve in family life, the more entangled you are going to get. It's going to become very difficult for you to leave or to think about developing a relationship with your permanent father. ये तो temporary family है. इस family में 60, 70, 80 साल, maximum एक average साल लगा लो. My father-in-law is 90 years old. Maximum चलो 90 लगा लो. So we have these temporary husband, temporary child, temporary mother, temporary father, temporary brothers, sisters, सब इस life में ही हमारे साथ जुड़े हुए हैं. As soon as we die, memory gets erased. 0, 0. We won't recognize these people, nor will we have the same affection for them. जो इस वक्त हम इतना तड़प रहे हैं बच्चों की ममता के लिए, है ना, हस्बैंड या माँ बाप के लिए, वो सिर्फ इस बॉडीली डिजीज की वजह से है, क्योंकि इस समय हम उनको आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं. लेकिन परमानेंट फादर और मदर जो है, जो हर बर्थ में हमारे साथ परमानेंटली बना हुआ है, उसके साथ हम अफेक्शनेट रिलेशनशिप बनाना भूल जाते हैं या समय नहीं निकाल पाते, क्योंकि हम टेम्पररी फादर मदर और बच्चों की सेवा में इतना लगे रहते हैं. दैट इज वाई ब्रह्मचार्य आश्रम वॉज रिकमेंडेड फॉर मेन, कि अपनी फैमिली अफेक्शन बढ़ाओ मत, leave it limited to your body so that you get time to develop a relationship with your permanent mother and permanent father. हर जन्म में वो आपके फिर भी permanent mother और father बने रहेंगे. Who? That's Krishna. But we have forgotten our permanent father and mother. Temporary parents और temporary बच्चे और temporary family के पीछे भागते रहते हैं और दुखी होते रहते हैं. So that's why Krishna is understood. That देखो इतने बड़े धर्म युद्ध में वो भी अर्जुन जैसा योद्धा. This is not an ordinary person like you and me. He is the greatest devotee of the Lord. An ordinary person cannot have the intellectual power to receive the message of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was spoken only for maybe 40 minutes, max one hour. और वो भी ऐसा नहीं कि कोई काम एंड क्वाइट नदी किनारे पेड़ के नीचे ठंडी हवा में बैठ के सुन रहे हैं. युद्ध के क्षेत्र में खड़े हैं, वर्ल्ड वॉर शुरू होने वाला है. इट्स अ टेंस सिचुएशन. ऑल द ग्रेनेड्स, मिसाइल्स, न्यूक्लियर मिसाइल्स आर रेडी, which are going to be launched in seconds. ऐसी टेंस सिचुएशन में कोई आपको फिलॉसफी समझाए लाइफ की, will you be able to grasp it? आप बोलेंगे यार this is not the right time, पहले मैं अपनी जान की सोचूं या आपकी फिलॉसफी सोचूं. बट अर्जुन हैड द कैलिबर, और उन्होंने 1 घंटे में सब कुछ समझ लिया. 1 घंटा, पूरी उम्र लग जाती है हमें गीता अपनी लाइफ में इम्बाइब करने में. उन्होंने 1 घंटे में एक टेंस वर्ल्ड वॉर सिचुएशन के प्रेशर में खड़े होकर उसे समझ लिया. ही वाज नॉट एन ऑर्डिनरी पर्सन, yet he is showing weakness of character because of affection. कैसे मारूं? This is the heart of a devotee. दुर्योधन को क्यों नहीं आया ये भाव? दुर्योधन भी तो उसका भाई, सेम कजन, जो उसका रिलेशन अर्जुन से, वही अर्जुन का रिलेशन उससे, वो तो नहीं तिल मिलाया. वो तो वहां खुश हो रहा है, अब मैं इनको मार दूंगा, जान से मार दूंगा, खुश हो रहा है. भीष्म पितामह को जाके कह रहा है बजाओ शंख. लेकिन अर्जुन is showing so much weakness. Why? Because he is a devotee. ये है फर्क भक्त में अभक्त में. Materialistic लोग and people who are practicing a devotional spiritual life, they become compassionate even with their enemies. Not just enemies, even with their wrongdoers. क्या नहीं हुआ अर्जुन के साथ? His kingdom was snatched from him. His brothers, mother, wife were insulted. His wife was disrobed in front of him. His rights were snatched from him. He was banished from the kingdom. कितनी enviousness, कितना गुस्सा, कितना revenge होना चाहिए mind में, heart में. Yet, when the time came to kill, he grows compassionate. Oh God, ये तो मेरा भाई है, ये तो मेरे great grandfather है, पितामह, ये मेरे गुरु द्रोणाचार्य. I don't want to kill them. मुझे मार देंगे, यहां तक रेडी हो जाता है. आगे के वर्सेस में आएगा, मैं मरने को तैयार हूं, भले ही मुझे मार दो, मैं नहीं मारूंगा. Can you believe if the whole world starts reading Bhagavad Gita, will there be peace? Will there be world wars? Will there be conflict between two nations, two states, two countries, two cities, two neighbors, between family? It resolves conflict because it gives you a higher understanding. आपकी पोजीशन मेंढक जैसी है कुएं के अंदर. भगवद गीता पढ़ के आपको समझ में आता है दुनिया कुआं नहीं है, दुनिया पैसिफिक ओशन है. There is so much more to why you are here. Then when you get this universal view of your position, then you start behaving in the right way. Otherwise, you think the well in which you are in is the whole world, and therefore you hold very tightly to your grudges because you think yahi hai, the all in everything. So, as a pure devotee of the Lord, Arjun had no desire to fight with his cousins and brothers, but he was forced to come into the battlefield by the obstinacy, zid, stubbornness of Duryodhana, who was never agreeable to any peaceful negotiation. Therefore, he was very anxious to see who the leading persons present on the battlefield were. Although there was no question of a peacemaking endeavor on the battlefield, he wanted to see them again and to see how much they were bent upon demanding an unwanted war. वो देखना चाहता था क्या सच में ये आए हैं मुझे मारने, मेरे भाइयों को मारने? Really? My Pitamaha, my Guru? Hridaya Daurbalyam. This is also a cause of misery, weakness of the heart. And why does the heart grow weak? Affection. हमें लग रहा है affection अच्छी चीज है. The real purpose, the real affection is to have affection, to develop an affection with our permanent father, permanent mother. उनके बारे में हमें information ही नहीं है. We don't even know who they are. We are not trying to do anything to build a relationship with them. Temporary affection के पीछे भाग रहे हैं. This is the cause for our misery. So let's see in the next verse. YG?
योत्स्यमानामवेक्षेऽहं य एत्र समागताः दातराष्ट्रस्य दुर्बुद्धे युद्धे प्रियचिकेशवः. Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra.
The evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Durbuddhi. He is addressed as Durbuddhe. Because of his evil mind, the world has to suffer a world war. So it was an open secret that Duryodhana wanted to usurp the kingdom of the Pandavas by evil plans, in collaboration with his father Dhritarashtra. Enviousness is passed down from the father to the son. The father could have corrected it at his end and raised his 100 Kaurav sons with teaching them to live with love and affection with their cousins. But he deliberately raised them with the poison of envy, that you were the rightful heirs. These people are getting to do, sit on the throne just because I am blind. He raised them with that poison. And now that they are all young, they are all 100 young poisonous serpents. So parents also get the reactions of what the children do. So they have a very big responsibility on giving the right mood to their children. Culture and sanskar, yes, but even the right mood towards the larger family. Therefore, all persons who had joined the side of Duryodhana must have been birds of the same feather. Arjun wanted to see them on the battlefield before the fight was begun, just to learn who they were, but he had no intention of proposing peace negotiations with them. It was also a fact that he wanted to see them to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face. Although he was quite confident of victory because Krsna was sitting by his side. As a devotee, he knew that even though they are, I think, quarter the size of the Kauravas' army, yet he was fully confident. एक कृष्ण अगर हमारी side पे है, we don't have to worry about the outcome of this battle. This is the result of devotion. This is the result of bhakti. Don't confuse it with any spiritual life. Not all spiritual lives are talking about devotion or devotional service. Most spiritual lives are talking about managing your own desires and getting them fulfilled, or managing your emotions. But they are not teaching you devotional. They're not teaching you bhakti. They're not teaching you surrendering. They're not teaching you how to not become controllers, but become cooperators. So there's a difference between bhakti yoga, and just any spiritual life. And what is the result of practicing bhakti yoga or bhaktya? The result is you become fearless. You do not have fear of the unknown. You gain confidence that if I'm just in the service of the Lord, He will take care. I don't have to depend on the powerful, on the influential, on my bank balance, on my contacts, on my family members. I don't have to depend on them. Neither can they fully support me or save me. But only if one Krishna or Keshav is on my side, or I am on his side, then even if the enemy is 1,000 times more stronger, smarter, intelligent than I am, yet I'm safe. Isn't that such a... who wouldn't want that? How many of you would like to be in that position? Where you feel safe and you're fully confident of the Lord's protection. Okay. So let's see the next verse.
Sanjayo vacha evamukto rishikesho Budakeshena Bharata Senayorubayor Madhye Stapayitva Radhotamam. Sanjaya said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties.
So here, Krishna is addressed as Rishikesh and Arjuna is addressed as Gudakesh. There's a reason why Sanjay is doing that. Rishikesh, we just did. Rishikesh is master of the senses. And what is Gudakesh? Any ideas? What's the meaning of Gudakesh?
Virtues, the master of good means good.
One has conquered sleep.
Yes, that's one reason. That's one very good meaning of that. One who has conquered sleep.
Which is also equivalent to ignorance.
Ah, yes. One who has conquered his ignorance is Gudakesh. Yes. So, conqueror of sleep. Imagine, that's such a big quality. He who can conquer his sleep can conquer his ignorance. Because sleep is a very strong sense organ. And the more you're able to control your sleep, the more you're able to control your mind and your senses. So, Gudakesh is not an ordinary person. Gudakesh means he is... actually, it also, there is another word like you said, Isha. Isha is controller or Ishwar. And Guda is darkness. So, controller of darkness. Which is, darkness means ignorance. He who can control his ignorance is Gudakesha. That's not an ordinary title. We are all in the ignorance. We are all in illusion, full of the propensity to make mistakes. But Arjun was above them. So when you become the master of this material world or of the material senses, and Krishna is addressed as Rishikesh. Rishikesh means he is the master of this world, the controller of this world, the controller of the material energy, the controller of the material world. So Prabhupada says, don't think that Arjun has become misdirected. Don't think कि ये Arjun became weak and he is saying कि मैं कैसे लड़ूंगा, and he's being addressed here as Gudakesh. But such a powerful yodha, a devotee practicing bhakti yoga, always in the association of Krishna, the Supreme, developed weakness of the heart. How? Because of the will of Rishikesh. Rishikesh means he who can control your senses. So Krishna made him feel that way and behave that way. Why? Because he wanted to say the Bhagavad Gita. वो Bhagavad Gita, he wanted to give birth to the Bhagavad Gita for the welfare of the general public, because Kali was approaching. ये द्वापर युग की बात है. And he knew in Kali Yuga people will need, and therefore he chose the perfect disciple Arjun to be the recipient of this message of the Bhagavad Gita. So he caused Arjun to behave like this. Arjun did not have any of these faults or qualities. But Krishna can use his devotees like his puppets. And the devotees love to be used by Krishna for his desires. This is service. This is bhakti yoga. Oh Krishna, use me as you want. Use me for your purpose. What can I do for you? And so he puts him under illusion. And Arjun starts crying and telling him, what do I do? And then he speaks the Bhagavad Gita. So he wanted the Bhagavad Gita to be spoken. So he caused Arjun to behave like this. Hridaya Daurbalya. Okay? So, Sanvasya Chaham Hriday Sannivishta. Krishna knows your purpose, what you want to do. He knows your past. He knows your present. He knows your future. He knows everything. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. आगे जाके बोलेंगे वो वेदाहम समतीतिना समतीतानी, मतलब I know everything. Vedanam samatitani. So as soon as Arjun asked him, Senayor ubhayor madhye ratham sthapaya me achyuta. Senayor madhye, सेनाओं के बीच में, मध्य रथम, मेरा रथ, स्थापय, को स्थापित करो, अच्युत, हे Krishna. Krishna immediately carried out the order because he knew what Arjun wanted, and he also wanted to see with whom I have to fight. So he understood Arjun is hesitating, so he said, okay, yes sir, let me do it right away for you. So this is how Krishna causes his devotees to behave when he wants to do a welfare activity for the entire world. So we'll come to that later. Even Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken like this, under very extraordinary circumstances. So Bhagavatam is the post-graduate study. गीता अभी हम ग्रेजुएशन कर रहे हैं. इसके बाद पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन स्टडी इज what do I mean by post graduation? अभी तो we are trying to understand भगवान कौन है ना, और हम कौन है, और हमारा भगवान के साथ रिलेशन क्या है ना. There are 5 subject matters of the Bhagavad Gita: ईश्वर, जीव, प्रकृति, काल एंड कर्म. So, जीव कौन है, पहले तो हमें ये समझना है. We don't even know that कि हम कौन है, कहाँ से आए हैं, कहाँ जा रहे हैं. We don't know. भगवान कौन है, we don't know. प्रकृति, this material world, इसकी नेचर क्या है, यहाँ के रूल्स और रेगुलेशंस क्या हैं, we don't know. काल, टाइम कैसे बिहेव करता है, कैसे एक्ट करता है, हमें टाइम को कैसे यूज करना है, we don't know. प्रकृति, काल एंड कर्म. एंड फाइनली, what are the laws of karma? We don't know. So that's why it's called graduation study. तो इसमें ये बेसिक 5 चीजें बताई जाएंगी. उसके बाद जब आपको पता चल जाएगा आप कौन हो, भगवान कौन है, और आप दोनों के बीच में रिश्ता क्या है, और इस रिश्ते को कैसे बना के रखना है, क्योंकि वो टूट गया है, इसलिए हम यहाँ पे आए हैं. राइट नाउ वो रिश्ता टूटा हुआ है, इसलिए हम दुखी हैं. टेम्पररी रिश्तों में ढूंढ रहे हैं सुख, लेकिन वो टेम्पररी ही मिलेगा आपको। लेकिन परमानेंट रिश्ते के साथ जब आप रिलेशनशिप बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे, तब आपको परमानेंट सुख आना शुरू होगा। तो जब आपको ये पता चल जाएगा, देन श्रीमद् भागवतम कम्स इनटू पिक्चर। उसमें डायरेक्टली भगवान के साथ, भगवान की नेचर के बारे में डिटेल में बताया जा रहा है। हु इज ही, कहाँ रहते हैं, उनकी फैमिली में क्या है, उनकी पर्सनालिटी कैसी है, उनका मूड कैसा है, उनकी क्वालिटीज क्या है। दैट्स श्रीमद् भागवतम। तो जब श्रीमद् भागवतम को भी रिसाइट करने का, इस दुनिया में अवतरित करने का टाइम आया, तब भी महाराज परीक्षित, कौन है महाराज परीक्षित? अर्जुन के ग्रैंडसन। जब पांचों पांडव चले गए दुनिया से, तो किसी को तो राजगद्दी पे स्थापित करके जाना था एज द किंग ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। Remember we did in the previous class that it appears from this Bhagavad Gita that Hastinapur was the king of the world. It was the world headquarters. All were under one king. So naturally when Yudhishthir Maharaj चले गए, he was the king of the world, तो वो किसी को वहां पे बिठा कर गए। कौन? परीक्षित महाराज, अर्जुन का ग्रैंडसन। और परीक्षित महाराज was also an extraordinary person. He was a pure devotee of the Lord. He was a bhakti yogi. He was a devotee. तो उनको भी कृष्ण ने ऐसे ही illusion में डाला था। भूख प्यास से तड़पते हुए उन्होंने, he did some offense which is unthinkable from his point of view. So such a knowledgeable, advanced devotee cannot behave like that. But Krishna made him behave like that so that Bhagavatam can be spoken to him by Sutta Goswami, Sukhdev Goswami. So Krishna causes the devotees to act under certain circumstances so that he can administer a medicine to relieve the whole world from the miseries that they are in. So so in this purport, दो चीजें, दो मीनिंग दिए हुए हैं गुड़केश के, sleep and ignorance, both. And he who is controller of sleep and ignorance both is called a Gudakesha, which is, Arjun is being addressed by that name. There's a reason why it was done. So a devotee of Krishna can conquer both sleep and ignorance. How? Simply with Krishna's association. Just by thinking of Krishna, constantly being with him, hearing his words, and trying to follow his words, he can become Gudakesha. Just by this simple act of hearing, thinking, feeling, and speaking. This is called Samadhi. This is the way to do Samadhi in Kali. So let's do the next verse. Vaiji, verse number 25.
भीष्म द्रोण प्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्यैतां समवेदान् कुरुन्निति. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here."
Yeah. So, as the super soul of all living entities, Lord Krishna could understand what was going on in the mind of Arjun. उनको अच्छे से समझ में आ रहा है, ये वीक हो गया है, फैमिली अफेक्शन इसे वीक बना रहा है. The use of the word Rishikesh in this connection indicates that he knows everything. उनको अंदर के बारे में भी पता है, दिल के अंदर क्या चल रहा है और बाहर जो चल रहा है. He knows everything inside out. And the word Parth or the son of Kunti or Pritha is also significant here. यहाँ पे अर्जुन को कैसे बुलाया जा रहा है? पार्थ करके बुलाया जा रहा है. Why? Because as a friend he wanted to inform Arjun that because Arjun was the son of Pritha, कुंती, जो कौन है? कृष्ण की सिस्टर है, कृष्ण की बुआ है, कृष्ण के फादर की सगी बहन है कुंती. So he is trying to remind Arjun कि आपका मेरा एक डबल रिश्ता भी है. You are my bua's son. That's why he's trying to remind him. Now he's addressing him. पहले गुड़केश बुलाया, अब उसको क्या बुलाया? Hey Parth, he's calling him. So he had agreed to be the charioteer of Arjun. Out of affection, वो अर्जुन का के रथवान बनने को तैयार हो गए थे, क्योंकि मेरे बुआ का बेटा है. Out of that affection, he agreed to become. Now, what did Krishna mean when he told Arjun, "Here, behold the Kurus"? Did Arjun want to stop here and not fight? Krishna never expected such things from the son of his Bua Pritha. The mind of Arjun was thus predicted by the Lord in joking. So actually, सटायर में कृष्ण बोल रहे हैं. जब अर्जुन ने कहा एक बार मुझे ले जाओ सेनयोर मध्य उभयोर, दोनों सेनाओं के मध्य ले जाकर जरा इस रथम को जरा लेके जाओ, मैं देखना चाहता हूं दोनों तरफ कौन है. तो उसके जवाब में कृष्ण वहां रथ लाकर खड़ा कर देते हैं और फिर मुड़कर क्या बोल रहे हैं, सटायर में बोल रहे हैं कि पता तो है तुम्हें दोनों तरफ कौन है, ये दो देखो, देख लो तुम्हारे भाई बहन सारे, behold the kurus, देखो कैसे तुम्हारे भाई, तुम्हारे चाचे, मामे, ताए, तुम्हारे ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर, गुरु, देखो कैसे खड़े हैं तुम्हारे अगेंस्ट. यही देखना चाहते थे ना तुम, लो देख लो. दिस इज व्हाट ही इज ट्राइंग टू टेल हिम इन अ satirical way. At the same time he's telling him, hey Parth, that yes, you are the son of Kunti and they are the sons of Dhritarashtra. So now what do you want to do? क्या आप तुम देख यहाँ आकर खड़े होके क्या देखना चाह रहे हो? मतलब लड़ना नहीं चाहते हो तुम, इसलिए यहाँ आ गए चेक करने. Don't you know that we are not here to settle a family fight? हम कोई पर्सनल रिवेंज की वजह से ये नहीं कर रहे हैं. हम धर्म की स्थापना करने आए हैं, to save the future generations from irreligious activities. So यहाँ तुम्हारी family affection should take a back seat, just as जब एक राजा राजगद्दी पे बैठता है तो वहां जब वो राज दरबार में बैठता है, there he does not sit as the father or as the husband of his queen, he sits as the king. So even if his queen or his sons or his family members have done something, as a king he will give them the saza. That's called a just ruler. This is what Krishna is trying to satirically hint at. Here, behold the Kurus. It's very interesting how Bhagavad Gita is so interesting. I can't tell you, you will learn so much about behavior, about etiquette, about relationships. हर relationship में मर्यादा रखनी जरूरी है. हर relationship की एक मर्यादा बनाई गई है. Even if it is between mother and son, husband and wife, if everybody stays in their maryada, relations will be sweet, there will be good cooperation and life की गाड़ी चल सकती है. Whenever this balance is disturbed, there is misery. And Krishna is explaining that by his own example, by his own conduct. करके दिखा रहे हैं. सारे रिश्तेदारियों में क्यों पड़े वो? Because he wanted to teach people रिश्तेदारियां कैसे निभानी है. How to become a mama, a chacha, a taya, a king, a brother. ये सब रिश्ते उन्होंने जी के दिखाए, to tell us how you're supposed to behave. So actually, bhaktya is all about relationships. It's not just some cutting you off from the world. ये सब कुछ छोड़ छाड़. No, you have to live with these people and learn how to deal with them and tackle them and behave with them according to your धर्म. हम यहाँ पे धर्म निभाने आए हैं. सभी relationships का धर्म, माँ का धर्म, वाइफ का धर्म, बहन का, ये सब हमारे अलग अलग धर्म हैं. We are not here on a merry making trip to enjoy. No, this is a big mistake. That is why we are unhappy, because we are trying to get some juice out of all these relationships, out of this world. It's a wrong approach, completely wrong approach. So the world is badly in need of Bhagavad Gita, the universal message of Bhagavad Gita. Change your thinking cap. We've not come here to enjoy. This is a karma bhumi. We have come here to conduct ourselves. And the rest of the Bhagavad Gita is going to tell you how to conduct yourselves. So we'll stop here. I think we've done 5 verses and we'll open for question and answers. If there's anything that you want to ask or share what you found about today's session, you can switch on your cameras so that I don't just speak to myself.
I have two questions, if I may ask.
Please.
Okay, so we understood that we get into the whole grahasti and marriage and having children and stuff, and then that leads us to it disturbs our focus to connect with our father, like
Permanent.
our creator. But then still we get into the whole thing. So how do we know that what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to get into the marriage and everything like the way our parents have taught us, like this is the way of living? Or is it because, is it that we are here because we are meant to be here? If we were meant to be a brahmachari, then probably this path would have come to us earlier on in life. So is it something that we can control, or it's not in our control? Now that we are in the grahasti, now we have to adapt and make the best use of our time. What is it?
Yeah, so he will make it clear in the chapters that come subsequently. We are just in the first chapter. He will make it clear on how you can continue to do your grihasthashram. First of all, is the best ashram to practice bhakti yoga, or to practice reigniting our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And we just have to add that missing link, the Supreme Father, our permanent mother, our permanent father, to this equation of our grihastha, which is missing right now. We are busy taking care of our current duties and relationships. And all we have to do is, along with these current duties and relationships, we have to simultaneously start developing our relationship with our permanent mother and father, who will not forsake us when this family forsakes us. When we change our body and get the next body, he will always be there with us. So when you start developing your relationship with him, then you will start getting that balance. Right now, as you are standing on chapter 1, what you need to understand is add the Supreme Father to your life. By acknowledging his presence, by acknowledging the purpose that you're not here to enjoy, we are here to serve. So change your cap.
Serve as in, what are we here to do?
We are here to serve the purpose of our life. That is, the purpose of our life is to go back home, back to our permanent house, our permanent father and our permanent mother. And he is going to give you a set of do's and don'ts on how you're supposed to be living here. What is the operating system? He's given you an operating system, Google. Now you will go and understand how Google is operated. What are you supposed to do? What are you going to put in the search engine? All those things he will teach you. And then you're supposed to use Google only for that purpose. People can use Google for pornography, for so many other things, which is what everybody is doing today. But the main purpose of Google could be just to realize the purpose of why you are here and go back home, back to Godhead. So instead of misusing, you start reusing it for the right purpose now. I hope that gives you a better idea.
Yes.
Right now, we're using Google for all kinds of things. We don't know what to do with it. But if somebody comes and teaches you how you can use it optimally to the best way, so that you don't get entangled in the negativities of this technology, you will be able to save yourself from all that misery when you get carried away, right? So it's a time to gather your senses and listen carefully to what he's saying, and then follow his instructions step by step. By the 18th chapter, you will know how, while living in grihasthashram, you can strike a balance, so that you don't get too overly attached to your family life. You don't get too overly attached to enjoying your senses. At the same time, you get completely, you are able to develop, rekindle your relationship with your permanent father, so much so that that relationship takes, an upper seat. And you will see the quality of your happiness change. By this one action only, the quality of your happiness itself will tell you whether you're progressing or no. You don't need any outside person. The Shastra says that you will not need a third person to tell you when you're eating food. You don't need to ask the next person, should I stop? और खाऊं क्या? आपकी स्टमक आपको बताएगी कि पेट भर गया या नहीं. किसी को पूछने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती. उसी तरह ये spiritual life automatically आपको, if you start practicing it correctly, this is a process. It's a proper process. It's a method. If you start following it properly, you will start feeling the difference. Okay? I hope that.
Yes. Thank you. Just one more quick question. In an invocation prayer, there's some terminology that you use, Shunyavadi. What does that mean, if you have an idea about that?
Yeah, there are two terms, Nirvishesh, Shunyavadi, Paschatya Desh Tarini. So, there are three ways to understand God. Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. Brahman means the Brahman philosophy is followed by people. I mean, this is various degrees of intelligence. The kindergarten level of intelligence, people who are in the kindergarten level believe in God. Of course, they are better than atheists who say that there is no God, everything is just because of me, and I have come from some particle and I will go into that particle. But
Right.
People who say that no, there is a higher power and higher intelligent being, they worship Mother Nature. For them, God is not a person. God is just a shapeless, formless energy. And this energy is controlling everything, the life on this earth. And I'm also a part of that energy. And after I die, I will go and merge into that energy. This is called the Brahman understanding of the Lord. So it's not wrong. It's a kindergarten understanding, nursery understanding. Higher than that, when you develop intellectually more advanced, not necessarily through intelligence, that the advancement comes through the cleanliness of your heart. The more pure your heart is, the more understanding will increase. It's not, let us not confuse it with some becoming a Sanskrit Pandit or reading lots of Shastra. That's not what we mean by intelligence. Intelligence comes from purity. The more your heart gets purified, the more refined your understanding gets. So the next higher understanding is Paramatma, where you are able to understand that yes, God is a person. He is not just light, because if there is a light, there has to be a source of light as well. That's some higher understanding. If there is energy, there has to be a source of energy also. Somewhere the energy is coming. So they acknowledge that energy, that source of this whole material world is a Paramatma. I am the Atma, a soul, and there is a super soul sitting on top of that soul, which is a Param Atma. If I am Atma, he is Param. So Paramatma. And he resides in the heart. So all the yogis, the purpose, the goal of their life to practice all their yoga is to go and connect with that Paramatma in the heart. That is why they perform meditation and trance and samadhi, so that they can have a glimpse of that Paramatma. Again, this is I would say middle school understanding. Kindergarten se aap middle school mein aa gaye. And what is the highest understanding, which includes graduation, post-graduation, PhD, MPhil, everything? That understanding comes when your heart gets even more purified, that there is one God. He's a person. Of course, he's not a material person like me. He does not die. He's eternal. He's spiritual, made up of Sat, Chit and Anand. He lives on a certain planet. This is his mood. This is his family. These are his relationships. And I am the lost son of that father, that person. And I want to go back to my home, my permanent house. And that understanding is called the Bhagwan understanding, that God is not Nirvishesh or Shunyavadi. Shunyavadi means Dunya Shunya hai. Dunya is one big zero. There is no owner, creator, controller. It's just one general ball of energy and I'm also a part of that, and I will go and merge. That's Shunyavadi. And Nirvishesh means God is not a person. You are denying the Lord a personality. You're denying that he exists, he has a personality. If you have a personality, everything that he has created has a personality. Why won't the creator have a personality? Why won't he be a person? Why can't he have also a permanent family, a name, a home? If you can enjoy all those things, why your creator cannot enjoy all those things? So God is a specific person. He is a person. He resides somewhere. There is a planet where he lives, the topmost planet. That is the understanding of Bhagwan, that there is one God who is a person. He has his likes, and he has his own moods, his personalities. He's jovial. He has all those moods and rasas that we have, which is the 5 main rasas. There are 5 kinds of main relationships that you can have with him. Shantras, then there is Dasyaras, where you can have a relationship with him. That's the beauty. You cannot have a relationship with Shunyavad. Can you have a relationship with nothingness, with vacuum? You need a person to develop a relationship with. To serve. There is no service in Nirvishesh and Shunyavad. And service gives you happiness. For example, how can you enjoy motherhood unless you have a child, a person, a child to serve, to love, to do something with? Then you develop a relationship with that child. If I just give you abstract notions that this is what motherhood is, and you are put in an empty room or an empty home and are allowed to and are asked to express motherhood devotion, how much can you understand of that? So the real enjoyment comes by a relationship with the Lord, which is missing in Nirvishesh and Shunyavad, which is missing in Brahman and Paramatma form. Because you want to merge in them, you don't want to serve them. That's also a tiny weeny part of ahankar, that you want to be equal to the Lord. आप निर्विशेष और शून्यवाद में भगवान के बराबर बनना चाहते हो. मैं लीन होके उन जैसा ही बन जाऊंगा. अहम ब्रह्मास्मि. मैं भी ब्रह्मन, तुम भी ब्रह्मन, मैं भी ब्रह्मन. But a devotee says, Tum Ishwar, main sevak. Tum Swami, main sevak. And he develops that relationship. 5 relationships are there. Dasya, as your servant. Sakhya, as his friend. Vatsalya, as his parent. And Madhurya, as his conjugal lover. These are the 5 relationships you can have with the Lord. And this is the highest form of happiness that you can ever experience, either in the material world or the spiritual world. Relationships and permanent spiritual relationships will give you real pleasure. और हम उन्हीं relationships को in temporary relationships में ढूंढने की कोशिश करते हैं. आए क्योंकि हम वहीं से आए हैं, हमें याद है, लेकिन हम ये भूल गए कि किसके साथ और कहाँ हमने वो relationship enjoy की थी. But relationship बनाना ढूंढ रहे हैं, इसीलिए हम यहाँ पे in temporary relationships में वो सुख ढूंढ रहे हैं. But in the material world, all relationships have faults, and that's where we get obstructions, because all of us have our limitations. But there are no limitations in the spiritual world, in the relationships in the spiritual world. They are forever Sat, Chit and Anand, forever eternal, blissful and full of knowledge. There is no envy, there is no what is that word, no old age, disease, anxiety, no envy. The only relationship there is on how to excel each other or defeat each other in service. How can I serve you more? And the other devotee says, no, how can I serve you more? And together they are saying, no, how can we all serve Krishna more? So what they enjoy, what the gopis and gopas enjoy, even the people in heavenly planets aspire to go and see and enjoy. Does that answer? Yeah, so again, it's too much too soon. You will understand it with time. As these rasas, you will develop a taste for them with time. Yeah. Anything else? If not, then we can say Hare Krishna to each other. You can switch on your cameras. Somebody left us, hai na? Anushka, Me too, Ji. Me too. Okay. Okay, she was traveling. Yeah. So, anything else? Hari Bol, that's your son. What's his name? You're muted.
Hi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
What's your name, beta?
Shan.
Ishan.
Shan.
Shan.
Yes.
Okay, you are the Shan of your parents, huh? So, Ishan, I'm going to teach you a mantra today. Will you want to learn?
Yes.
It's not a tongue twister. It's very simple. Do you want to repeat after me?
No.
Just try a little bit. Just chant after me.
Okay.
Just say Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
You did it, Shan. You're very talented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hari Bol. So let's all chant one more time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare. Hare Ram.
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram.
Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, we chant together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So just surrender to the holy name. This is a Maha Mantra, the mantra of all the existing mantras of this material world. That's why it's called the Maha Mantra. So just surrender to the holy name and invite this holy name into your life. Automatically, you're inviting the Supreme Lord into your life. And then that balance that we are trying to create will automatically, with time, be created. And all our family life, our grihastha life will become beautiful and peaceful, and all our relationships will become better and peaceful. Okay? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hari Bol. Anushka, you may want